Hello, back again doing a new video for you, this time using DAS, an air dry modelling clay. I have looked on YouTube. There are several various reviews, tutorials that have said it isn't any good. That really depends on what you want to use it for. For my purpose, and maybe for a lot of yours, it's absolutely fantastic. A kilo is very economical. The range, Wilkinson's maybe. I know the Works as well. You can also buy it online. $3.99 for a kilo. And this goes an awful long way. It's white, or the one I use is white. They also do it in a terracotta colour. It's air dry, which is a big bonus, no baking involved. So let's get cracking. The first thing I will say is it's white, yes. However, when it comes out of the packet, this is a small piece I've got left over from my first block. It is grey. And you'll probably open it, think, oh my god, it's grey. They said it's white. I can't use that. It's grey because of the water content. However, it dries white. Then it shows you the difference in colours. But at the end of the day, even if you did dry grey, if you're going to paint it or colour it, then it's not really going to make any difference. This is a bit messy. Yes, it does stick. It's got water and clay. The best way I can describe it is when you first start to use it, it's almost like a paper consistency mixed with flour. It's very easy to mould. As soon as it gets warm, it's going to start moulding beautifully in your hands. It doesn't take long to work. So that's the basis of DAS. Things you'll need while you're using DAS are any tools that you've got for modelling clay. They will work fine with this. I personally use a small craft knife. I've got this. Let me move that out of the way so you can see. Don't exactly know what it is. Looks almost fish knife in shape. It's ancient and it works fantastic. Paintbrush, some water, kitchen roll for your fingers or inks. So let's get going. You can use this in any moulds, the pre-purchased silicone moulds, homemade silicone moulds like I've got here that I've been making. They all work perfectly. I've used them in these moulds as well that are the shop brought. You can paint with micas once it's dried. You can, as you can see, I have done partly with this one already, use micas in the mould onto it. That works fantastic. That one I've coloured using an ink pad. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. it goes an awful long way. So 1 kilo, you can really get an awful lot out of a kilo block. It will keep for ages in an airtight container. It has got a self-sealy little sticky. So I shall take the scissors and open it just so that you can see inside the block that's newly opened. Sometimes it helps if you have nails. Sometimes it doesn't. There. Just stick that back down for a second. We'll pop that out of the way. Now, to start with modelling, the water, 2 purposes. A, for washing your hands. But if while you're working with your DAS, it gets dry, literally dip a finger in, add a little water, work it back, and it's gone back to that lovely soft pliable feel again. So let's start by filling a mould. With any of the products on the market, Fimo, Martha Stewart, Cloud Clay, I would imagine they're all pretty much the same on the fact that you'd never want to overfill your mould. So we're just starting there, and we're working down and making sure it's in all the nooks and crannies. It does get a bit messy on the surface, so obviously somewhere where you can wipe down very easily is a good idea. Take any excess off easily just from the end. This is where my craft knife comes in. It does cut quite easily. When it's wet anyway, so you could always proportion pieces off. There. I'm sure that if you've got the clay modelling tools, there'll be something like this. This is ideal for smoothing what will be the back of your item, so that obviously it's going to be level and smooth for you to put onto whatever project you'll be using it on. Once you're happy with the level and it's as smooth as you'd like, you can always dab off the excess moisture from the edge of your moulds. Once you've used the moulds, this actually just dries and can be picked off, or alternatively just warm hot soapy water and that's done. Lastly, just go round and feather slightly away from the edges. This just makes it easier for you to actually get them out of the moulds at the end. Once done, that just sits to one side. The one thing that will affect this is the temperature of your room you're working and the weather. It's water based, it's air dry. If it's a really hot sunny day, they're going to dry really fast, which is a bonus. Pop it in the sun, help it along. If it's a damp, wet, grey, cloudy day, it will take longer. I made this tray yesterday. They actually took all day. I took them out of the moulds at 3 o'clock this morning, and they were still partially damp, hence why they're still on the board. You will notice some of them aren't neat. That's the lovely thing with this. So that's one mould filled and finished. Colouring your Das is just as easy. Taking the piece that you want to use, I have only experimented with ink pads. I've done a earlier one using these. Very cheap to use. I don't use them for stamping. I'll just use it for something else. Had a rummage through the stash to find some different ones. These are pigment inks, so they're slow drying. These ones, plenty of ink in them. I just don't like them and haven't used them for stamping. So make sure you're ready to start, and then load up your piece of clay with ink. This is where it gets a bit sticky and messy on the fingers because of the ink, but it's all in the name of craft. Messy, fun equals good day's crafting. It takes a while, but you get a beautiful result at the end. The colour will look slightly different, obviously because of the water content of the clay while you're working it, dulls down the colour. However, once it's dried, the colours do become clearer for you. Keep working until the colour's saturated enough through it for you. You could probably use acrylic inks. I haven't got any, otherwise I would have tried. You can colour the finished images with mica paints such as Cosmic Shimmer paints, Twinkling H2Os, mica powders mixed. You can also use, which is something I did myself, which I'll just show you. This one is coloured using a Whispers pen. And that one is a StazOn green ink pad. And that's a mica shimmer paint. So you can basically paint them to match any project that you want to do. We're nearly done here. Just add a little bit more. See how evenly that colour's spread. No, needs some more colour there. It starts by doing the sort of like marbling throughout until it becomes thoroughly mixed through. But you can just keep, again, if it gets a bit dry while you're working, a little bit of water, and off you go again. I know with the Martha Stewart air dry clay, you can also colour it with Distress inks. The Tim Holtz. I would presume maybe you could also do that with this. Obviously, don't please go and ruin Distress ink pads. Maybe if you've got the bottle of ink, that might be the way to go with that. There, that looks beautiful. A nice lilac-y shade. There. It still looks pretty grey, I must admit, but trust me. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so we've got our coloured clay. We're going to brush our mould with some mica. Get it nicely in there. Here we go. There, just to remove anything that's too heavy. So we've now got our freshly mica brushed mould, and just as we did with the key, pick an end and start working spreading out the clay throughout the mould, making sure that you get all the lettering covered. If you've mixed up too much of the colour, that's fine, because it keeps so well. You can either keep it in a little baggie, little Ziploc baggie, until the next time you want to use that particular colour, or just pop it through to some flower moulds. That way nothing that you've mixed up is going to be wasted. damp down a little smoother. Again, something like this can be used to make sure that you haven't got too much in the mould. And there we have it. How to mould using Das air dry clay. That can just sit to one side, and then once you're ready you can pop them out the moulds and go again. There is a second part coming up to this video. I will also do a third piece that will show you how you can work with the finished articles. I'm also going to try a little experiment with the key moulds that I made. These ones. To give them a little bit more stability with running a florist wire down the back over the clay. We'll see how that one goes as well in the third part of the video. See you soon.